The world is a big place.
It's home to over 7 billion of us. And in the next 2 decades, we'll have another 2 billion join the party.
And to keep that party going, we're going to need a ton of energy. And a bigger punch bowl.
Right now, we need to produce about 170 million gigawatts of energy to power our world. And that doesn't even cover all of us. There are still around 1.2 billion people with little or no access to electricity. And by 2040, we're set to add the equivalent demand of an additional India and China.
In total, our world is going to require around 47 million more gigawatts than what we consume today. To put that into perspective, 1,000 gigawatts can power 10 billion 100-watt light bulbs all at the same time.
Or send Marty McFly back to the future 826 times.
It's a lot. But it's not just a growing population that's causing this increased demand.
Although we continue to devise energy efficiencies, more people are simply using more of it. People rising out of poverty are able to buy things that require energy to produce and to power. And as we become a more digitized civilization, we require more electricity to power all of our gadgets.
Also, as our world grows increasingly connected, we need to transport a lot more stuff, including ourselves. To meet all of this demand, we need to get energy from wherever we can get it.
Right now, fossil fuels supply about 80% of that energy, with the remaining 20% coming from sources including nuclear power, biofuels, hydro, and other renewables like solar, wind, and geothermal energy. Even as the world strives to replace carbon-intensive fuels with alternatives, unless we're willing to return to the dark ages,
literally,
we're going to need all sources of energy for some time to come.
For example, in 2016, global solar capacity increased by 50%, but that added just 24 gigawatts of energy to the mix.
And in 2017, wind power brought only 52.7 gigawatts of power online worldwide.
Even with new advancements, current projections estimate that renewable energy sources will account for only 40% of total global power generation. The rest will need to come from a mix of everything else.
To put that into context, while we're seeing rapid growth in EVs, for the 280 million electric cars that are projected to be on our roads in the next 20 years, the number of gasoline-powered cars is expected to double from 1 billion to 2 billion.
That's a lot of fill-ups. But the largest part of the equation is generating enough electricity to not only light, heat, and cool all of our homes, but to also power all of the electronic devices, vehicles, and gadgets that are becoming more and more prevalent and accessible.
Solar, hydro, and wind will play an important role in producing that electricity. But even the most ambitious expansion plans can't come close to meeting the demand.
To help, natural gas will play a larger role in power generation around the globe to provide electricity with much lower GHG emissions over coal-fired power plants.
Especially in places like China, who will need to add a power system equivalent to the current United States in the next 20 years.
Besides the energy required to manufacture all the things you and me and everyone else want to buy, actually producing all the plastics, rubber, clothes, and cosmetics leads to a 60% increase in demand for petrochemicals derived from oil and natural gas.
And moving all these goods around will require more trains, planes, ships, and trucks, which require energy of their own.
But while all of this may seem daunting, the good news is that we humans are really resourceful and are figuring out ways to produce and use all the types of energy we'll need in the future more efficiently and with fewer impacts to our environment.
From making renewables more attainable and reducing our use of carbon-intensive energy sources, to making things that are more fuel efficient and also changing behaviors to be more efficient ourselves.
The key will be to balance the demand for energy between all the sources of energy available to us, from fossil fuels and renewables to whatever comes next.
Energy that will not only help to keep the party going, but ensure there's enough punch in the bowl for everyone.